Welcome back to another clickbait video. Today, I'm going to try to keep it as educational as possible once again. But if you follow these steps, it will undoubtedly help you better all of your relationships and get what you want out of most people. So, the first thing is changing how you act. Now, this could be seen as a form of manipulation because it's affecting how other people respond, but just keep listening and you'll find out why it's not, or why I don't see it as that. So, most people, when they go about, like most guys I've seen, if they're little soy boys, like little feminine bitches, they will do things like actions or say like one-off things or try to act differently, like in a bad way, in a malicious way, to get more attention. They'll do things that aren't benefiting them, that aren't benefiting the other person, and that are holding them both back in life. So an example of this would be like they'll go off and run into the middle of the road or some shit like that. They'll make one-off comments about how no one cares about them, or how everything's their fault, or how they're depressed, or they'll make like self-deprecating jokes about their depression. Now, I know in today's world, this kind of humor is very normalized, and it's very it's just very normalized and generalized, but it is not healthy. Just because everyone is doing it does not mean it's right. And most of the people that's doing it, regardless if they realize it or not, and you could be one of those people, chances are 90% of people do this shit, and you could be most likely you're one of those 90, especially if you're watching a video like this, right? Cut that shit out. You're actually looking for attention, whether you're self-aware of it or not, which is a bit ironic because in modern day we're talking about, being aware and being emotional and stuff, but then people are getting like being emotionally aware and being emotional, the definitions for those mixed up. If you don't know, being emotional is acting on your emotions and based off of your emotion, using emotional reasoning to guide your actions. And being emotionally aware is knowing what you're feeling, when you're feeling, and having a general idea of why you're feeling that way. And then having emotional control is, a man's superpower, so you'll learn to develop that soon as well. But the point of this video was to go into something that I've found recently to be true, and that my paradigm's kind of been shifting around. If you don't know what a paradigm is, it's pretty much just your perspective of the world and the philosophy you've built up and how it interacts with the environment around you. You really can't change your circumstance. You can hate it, you can dislike it, you can spend all day writing down the things you hate about it, but in reality that's not going to do anything to change it, and you cannot change your circumstance. So stop trying. The one thing you can change is yourself, how you look at your circumstance. If you have a circumstance and you're doing certain things and you're getting a certain result, if you can't change your circumstance, but you can change the things you do, change the things you do. I guarantee you 98.9% of you haven't even bothered trying to change the things that you're doing so you can possibly get a different result, right? There's a winning situation in all circumstance, right? I guarantee most of you have not explored that. So, point of saying all that, I just went off on a bit of a rant again, but this is all information that you'll need to know, and that'll come in very handy. none of us have problems. We're just short on ideas. You might think you being low on money or being broke is a problem. I did too up until about a couple months ago. But no, your problem isn't money, it's the lack of ideas. So, spend time reading books, listening to seminars, and getting more ideas. Talking to intelligent people. Changing your perspective, developing your paradigm. Building on your philosophy. And you'll find a lot more success that way. Now, this all ties into getting what you want out of people. Because in doing this and learning about these things, you slowly develop the ability to not... I had the words a minute ago. I found my words. I'm back. Okay. So you develop the ability to not be as much of a coward, to face your problems and to take responsibility. Essentially, that's all that is. Facing your problems and taking, not being a coward is just taking responsibility. When you feel shame or guilt, or you feel as if you've done something wrong, it's the worst feeling ever, right? You hate it. You want to just bury yourself deep down inside and die, right? You want to turn away from everyone and just kind of go and be alone to repent for your actions or something. You just don't want to have the guilt and shame inside of you. You don't want to be socially judged by others, right? It's a really powerful emotion, and it can also be a really dangerous one. But one of the ways you can use it to your advantage is if you're in a social situation, and sometimes we'll get this if we feel like someone's mad at us or irritated with us in some way, right? If you feel that way and you decide to act on your emotions and the other person hasn't said anything out loud or made it clear, hasn't said anything out loud, hasn't spoken their mind out loud, you're just assuming up until that point of them saying something, right? Regardless of how obvious they may make their actions, you're still just assuming, right? Sometimes it's good to go off your gut feelings, but in this kind of situation, it's never good to go off your gut feelings, right? So, if you feel like turning away, hiding, or not saying anything, if you're at the job and you feel like you did something wrong at work, and you feel like shutting up and just kind of doing the best that you can and not asking any questions, not talking, and just kind of doing the bare necessary things and showing the most respect around you, then I understand this firsthand because I've been in that situation many times. But do your best to stay open, to confront it, not to hide away and follow your desires to hide away, because that's being emotional. That's reasoning with your emotion. Oh, I feel like they're mad at me, so they must be mad at me, right? And you start emotionally reasoning, and that leads you down this really deep, dark rabbit hole. So, most important thing you can do here is face the situation head on and keep talking, right? Watch what you say, of course. So if you did something that you feel like was already irritating them, try just staying quieter. Don't completely put yourself into a shell. Maybe pay them a compliment If they were getting irritated at you because you were being slow at your job, and another coworker was talking to you about something. This is really specific, isn't it? I wonder why. Then just kind of pay that coworker. Find a way to go back and be like, well, if you're working with an amazing coworker like so-and-so, time just flies by. Just find subtle shit that you can do, and it'll help. It'll help a lot. And then you'll feel 10 times better when you find out that they weren't actually mad at you in the first place. But if they were mad at you, after a while of doing this, they're probably not going to be mad at you anymore. Now, of course, this depends on the circumstance. If you just tried to steal like $500 from a person and you try this, it's probably not going to get the best results. But sincerity and generosity are both very, very powerful things, and no matter what situation, they are always appreciated, right? So if you're honest, you're sincere, and you're generous, you're going to get whatever you want out of people, okay? I know that sounds like really dark, but I don't think this is something that evil people could really use, honestly. Sure, there's manipulative people, but I don't think hearing this is going to change anything for anyone. Those people that can show that kind of generosity and stuff with malintention and the sincerity are called psychopaths, and they're kind of already born like that. So I don't think me telling you this information is really going to change anything or help anyone. It's kind of hard to learn sincerity and generosity. As you can see from a lot of people nowadays, most people are not self-aware, so they wouldn't understand like how to stop certain things or how to start doing certain things or understand what they're not even doing in the first place to make themselves seem sincere. So worst case scenario, this would inspire someone to go watch like a shitty how-to video on how to be sincere. And we all know how that's going to turn out. But, yeah. Don't hide away from your problems. If you're in one of those situations, do the exact opposite of what you think. Do the hardest option. Like Hamza used to say, do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. This is one of those situations. When you feel like hiding away, when you feel like cowering down, turn around, open up. Like if you're in like a social situation, you think you want to like cuddle down, kind of like turn away from the crowd, go off on your own. Do the exact opposite. Go into the middle of the crowd, or like, at least join the crowd. Take your hands out of your hoodie pockets. Maybe take off your hoodie. Open yourself up. Open your posture up. Don't have closed arms, shit like that. Closed legs. Open yourself up. And try to join the conversation. It doesn't really matter what you want to say. But it will help a lot. Especially because the majority of the times when we feel like this, it's not actually the case, and they're not actually mad at us. People, like I said, are really not emotionally aware nowadays, and they really suck at being social. Most people's social skills are garbage, especially women's. So if you think a girl is mad at you, and it's not their fault. They kind of don't need social skills in order to, get through. But it's most likely the opposite, or it's never what you think it is. If you see two girls giggling behind you, it's probably something stupid. And now, of course, as a guy, your mind's going to go to like self-conscious thoughts like, oh, how's my hair, blah, blah. Did I wear the wrong shoes, or do I have toilet paper on the bottom of my shoe or something, right? But that's not ever usually what it is. It's usually something really stupid. There's a very small chance that it could be that, right? So I believe that's everything I wanted to share with you. This is, like I said, something that just kind of happened recently, and I thought it was a good idea. So, like I said, the coworker example, that was something that happened. I went ahead and talked about it, or I continued talking to the people, and by the end of the night, we were all laughing and having a grand ass time, right? The situation was fixed. An example where I didn't follow through this, where I didn't obey the law, like this law, say this is a law, right? Was with my girlfriend the other night. I was having irrational thoughts, and I didn't say anything mean or anything like that, but I was having these irrational thoughts, and they were impeding my ability to like be genuine with her, like have unfiltered thoughts, and like have a fluid conversation that I would feel happy with, that is able to clearly express my thoughts and, clearly express my love for her. And that caused me to feel even worse. And so I ended up leaving the conversation early and just saying goodnight. That was not a healthy thing to do. It was 11 o'clock at night, but that's besides the point. I should have stayed there until I felt better about the conversation and felt good about the value I provided her with it. So, with all that being said, this is going to be difficult. This might be somewhat challenging. If you've made it this far in the video, I salute you, because this is a very overlooked thing nowadays. I hope that you can benefit from this content, and I look forward to posting more of it. If you want to check out more about goal setting and how to improve yourself, I have a bunch of other videos on the channel, and I will be recording and posting more I'll try to do it every day. I have a pretty rigorous school and work schedule, so I'll do my best, you guys. But with all that said, stay on task.